What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You're watching the channel Dr. Applesauce 2. My name's Will. It's another beautiful day here in Texas. I hope you guys know that I love you, God loves you, and that there is an awesome plan for your life. So it has been a few days since Metazoo announced that they were closing, and this will be the first and last video I ever do on Metazoo on the Pokemon channel, but I thought it was relevant because this channel is about Pokemon and trading card games, and Metazoo shut down, and I still believe Pokemon is reigning king right up there with Magic and with Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's reasons for that, and I want to talk about some of the reasons why I gave up on Metazoo and why I think they shut down and why I think they closed. I think I have a unique perspective because there's a lot of videos out there of people that are talking about Metazoo closing and Metazoo going out of business, and I was lucky enough to actually get relatively close to some of the people at Metazoo. I was able to talk and hang out with Mike, the owner, multiple times. Got to do interviews with him multiple times. Got to become friends with some of the artists and various people on the team. And I have a unique perspective because I really cared about this game. I really enjoyed it. I liked a lot of the people. And in September of 2022, I started seeing things that I didn't really agree with, that I didn't really like, and it caused me to distance myself. I even had a completely separate YouTube channel, and I was making tons of content on Metazoo. And here's the biggest thing that I think that happened is Metazoo just got too big too fast. And it really had everything going for it. I mean, it released right in the middle of the pandemic. I was a fan from not the Kickstarter release, but the first edition release. From the first edition release of Cryptid Nation, I bought into every set up to UFO. UFO is the last set that I really bought into. And I loved it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fresh. I thought it was exciting. I got to go to a couple different parties for Metazoo. This was before I even started making content on it. And then I decided to make content on it because I was really having fun with it. And it was really fun in the beginning, and it had a lot of hype and had a lot going for it. And the amount of crazy hype that it had, I think, is part and parcel to one of the big reasons why it failed, because it gained so much hype that I'm going to say things that may seem like they're bad and negative, and I'm not trying to be bad or negative to anybody that's on the Metazoo team. Everybody that's on the Metazoo team is a human, and they all deserve happiness. And there's a bunch of people, a bunch of the artists that are fantastic people. I got to become friends with Chris Campman, who's an awesome guy. Texas Ted, who, in my opinion, was very likely the most valuable and the best person on Metazoo's team. Phenomenal gentleman, phenomenal man, and a bunch of other people. And that being said, I think that some of the people on the leadership team, including Mike himself, got a big head from the success of the game, got a little cocky from the success of the game, and saw the tons of profits that were rolling in and decided to focus on maximizing profits rather than establishing a legitimate and sustainable TCG. And what do I mean by a legitimate and sustainable TCG? I did participate in probably 4 or 5 different tournaments. I was in no way, shape, or form one of the better players, but I enjoyed the game. I built multiple Metazoo decks and competed in different pre-release tournaments, regular tournaments where you go with a constructed deck of your own. Had a lot of fun. Again, there's a lot of fantastic people in the Metazoo community and a lot of people that genuinely loved the game and a lot of people that built businesses around Metazoo, and so this news, honest to goodness, it really does suck for them, and my heart goes out to those people, but it really was a hard game to play, to be honest with you. At the beginning, it was like, okay, this is quirky, there's only a few sets, there's not really a lot built up with it, it's gonna get better, and it just never really got better as far as gameplay. Instead of getting better, it got harder. They added more rules and more stipulations to make it harder to keep track of, harder to understand, you know, how much life your beasties had. What does this? What does that? Add in the fourth wall elements, which are really cool, and if done properly, could have been very interesting. Just made it more difficult. And the best thing that I can compare it to is there's another indie TCG game called Cryptic. I think Cryptic is the best indie TCG game that has been created in this whole thing as far as playability. And there's a reason, because the owner, Tanner from Cryptic, has a couple game developers on his staff that he pays full time, and every time a new game comes out, they go and they buy the starter decks, they learn every single new game, and they say, what is this game doing right? What is this game doing wrong? What can we learn from it? And how can we adapt it and solve problems or make our game better? And so that game, Cryptic, has such a fun fun gameplay and such a simple gameplay, and that's just an example of how they're doing that right. Metazoo wasn't doing that. I don't really know what the game development side of Metazoo was. I know of one person that was at least on the game development side, but it didn't seem like either the people that were developing the game didn't really know how to develop a game, or they didn't have a big enough team, because the mechanics of the game never got easier. They never got more streamlined. They just got difficult, more and more difficult, and that slowly was turning me off. And talking about gameplay, yeah, there was people that would show up to tournaments, but unless there was a huge prize on the line, never more than 100 people showed up to one of these tournaments, which Metazoo was arguably one of the most successful indie TCGs in this space. And take a look at something very different like One Piece that has just come out within, the past year? Obviously, it's One Piece, huge fan base, duh. But people are turning out for the tournaments at One Piece in insane numbers because the game is supposedly really fun to play. And people are loving the gameplay, and it's easy to get in and connect with. And that was one of the huge deterrents for Metazoo gameplay, was that it was so complex and so complicated and really difficult to learn and remember all the dang rules. Like with Magic the Gathering, it's hard to remember the rules, and there's a lot of rules going on with Magic the Gathering. But like the professor always says for Magic the Gathering, the words on the card explain the card. And that's how Magic worked. And you might not know what a specific word means, but if someone could tell you what that word means, then you understand what the card does. Metazoo really didn't do that. There was a lot of things that you had to look up, a lot of what does this mean, a lot of, well, what happens if I'm doing this, and just made it very, very complicated. And so that's, playability-wise, I think was one of the big reasons why the game failed, and it didn't gain a lot of traction. No TCG can be super, super, super successful without a very large, very dedicated player base. I think that's one part of it. The second part of it is they started having a lot of money problems. Tying in with gameplay, I was friends with some of the higher ranked competitors in Metazoo tournaments, and Metazoo was having a hard time paying them. Like, people would win these tournaments and they wouldn't get paid for months and months and months after they were told they would be paid. They wouldn't get paid what they were supposed to be paid until way, way, way late, and that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in your game players. I actually had people that I knew, and I will not say any names, but were some of the better players in Metazoo tournaments that blatantly and straight up told me they hated the game. They just continued to play it because it was paying out higher than anything else. That's not a good thing to have. So that's part of the gameplay aspect, monetary issues, and then there's rumors that maybe they owed a whole bunch of money here and there. I don't really know about all that. But another thing that happened is basically Cryptid Nation was really, really cool, really fun. Limited edition drop. Was Cryptid Nation 25,000 boxes, I think? And then Nightfall came out, and Nightfall was a really cool set. I think they did 50,000 boxes on Nightfall, or maybe it was 24. I don't know. It's been a long time. But Nightfall was a really, really fun set, and they added a secret rare card into Nightfall, one of 100 that you could pull. And then after Nightfall, they jacked the production numbers up to 100,000 units, and they didn't have the customer base to sustain 100,000 units. And so what happened when they had so many boxes of their next few sets, before they finally, I think, reined it back in with Seance and dropped it back down to 50,000, you have 100,000 units of a booster box coming out. You have partner stores that have to buy stuff. And then you have the owner of Metazoo telling them that they can't sell for less than a certain amount. And what happens is you have people that are forced to spend whatever it is, $90, $80 distribution cost on a product, and they can't even sell it for that. You look now at booster boxes from what came, I can't even remember what came after Nightfall. Booster boxes from Wilderness and Cryptid Nation 2 and UFO and Seance are selling for like $25-$30. And so they injected this huge supply into the market that they didn't have the basis and the fans and the customers for, and that caused a massive downturn in the market. And then a lot of the original fans that loved the game and a lot of original fans that supported the game and stores that supported the game kind of got turned off by this process of it being super saturated, or not being able to buy things at an affordable price, or not being able to sell the inventory that they felt like they were forced to purchase and then get stuck with it. And that all combined together to make a bad environment. And then another thing, and this might just be a personal opinion because I did create content for MetaZoo. I was never once paid a single red cent for anything that I did. MetaZoo sent me some care packages a few times, but never once was I paid a single red cent for anything that I did. And there was a few of us, including myself, that were making a lot of content and really advocating for MetaZoo in content because we loved it. Not out of shilling for something, but because we really enjoyed it. And this was one of the things that, combined with giant production numbers, combined with a game that seemed to be increasingly getting harder and harder, combined with seeing some weird decisions and some weird character traits and some things that I didn't really agree with and choices being made by the upper leadership of MetaZoo, all of that combined with this next thing I'm about to talk about caused me to walk away from the game in September of 2022 and stop making content and not buy anymore. And what I noticed was there was a few of us that were making 2, 3, 4 MetaZoo videos a week, spending, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 hours a week on content happily. And then we were getting, by and large, for the most part, ignored by MetaZoo as far as like endorsement and promotions and stuff, which is fine, except they were really heavily promoting and endorsing other people that were streaming on streaming platforms just to make money. So these aren't people that were creating content. These aren't people that were trying to educate people about the game. These are people that were literally taking the product and selling it and trying to make a buck off of it. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But when the only people MetaZoo is promoting and giving really special and rare product to, I remember going to the UFO release event in Roswell. That was a lot of fun. And there was these special promo packs that we were all supposed to get for going there. There was supposed to be like a party and we were all supposed to get like a little care package and get like a special promo pack, and we're all really excited about it. Well, we didn't get anything. Nobody, we traveled to Roswell. Nobody got a special promo. We got nothing. But there was a specific streamer that got like 100 packs of these promos that went and sold them live on a live streaming platform. And that really didn't set well with a lot of us. So them promoting special streamers and not really, in what I saw, promoting or helping out the content creators was just a piece of it. But all of that is just what I saw from the inside perspective of what was going wrong with MetaZoo. And so you can really zoom out and look at all of that. And basically their gameplay only got harder. It didn't get easier, and it didn't get easier for people to learn how to play it. There was decisions in the upper leadership of MetaZoo that were being made that were borderline, some people would say, disrespectful towards other members of the community, people that supported the game originally, getting banned and disrespected and getting mocked and made fun of. Weird financial decisions being made, not being able to pay players that were winning the games, massive gross overproduction, and honestly, what on the whole just started to seem like they were carrying, and I say they, whoever it is that's making the decisions, the top 2, 3, 4 people, whoever that was, it seemed like the desire and the drive was to make as much money as quickly as possible and not so much build a successful trading card game and a successful community. That's just what it seemed like to me and why I left. And then I was not surprised when I saw that they closed down shop and went out of business. And my heart goes out to everybody that really, truly still loved the game. There's a few people out there like Caster Society and Windy City Pop Shop and a few other people I know that built businesses around MetaZoo, and my heart goes out to them because they're wonderful people. And I hope and wish the best things for you guys and everybody in MetaZoo, Mike and Andy and Texas Ted and all the artists, Chris, and all the wonderful people that I made connections with. I wish the best for all of you guys. But I think that's why MetaZoo failed, and it's why Pokemon is still reigning king, because it's got a huge fan base. It's got 20 plus years of history. We have all kinds of established things. There's a fun TCG. There's fun cards. There's an active, thriving community, and it's had more time to get to the level of popularity that it's at. And that's my perspectives and opinions on why MetaZoo died and why MetaZoo failed. And I just wanted to say my piece. And if you didn't watch halfway through this video or whatever, if you made it all the way here, comment below and tell me that you made it all the way here. But this will be the one and only MetaZoo video I ever make on the Pokemon channel. So if you enjoyed it, let me know down in the comments below, and check that video out, because YouTube says that you'll like that video too. And like I always say, find somebody to love and serve today. Be the change you want to see in the world. See you next time.